Hello, baby.
I was crazy once.
I'm thinking of a number.
Hey guys.
Hey. Is that your Harrison?
These clothes, these clothes belong in a museum.
You belong in a museum. I don't know.
Dr.
Dr. Jones.
Yeah, how famous is Indy? Like, it's like everyone's heard of James Bond. I mean, clearly it's supposed to be like a thing where everyone knows who James Bond is for some reason,
Yeah.
but everyone knows who eminent archaeologist.
People, that comes up all the time. Like,
Professor
people are
Jones.
like, the famous archaeologist. Well, I guess that mostly happens in Temple of Doom.
Your
But
reputation.
I will say, if Indiana Jones was real, like, I think
Yeah.
he would be so famous.
Yeah, wait, like,
Well,
do you think
'cause
there'd be a news article written about it?
Are we? Well, hold on. Are we gonna count the Temple of the Forbidden Eye as canon? Is that canon?
Because he is famous in that, is what you're saying.
Yes, because they have the film serial at the beginning, or not the film serial, the newsreel, and
Yeah.
they're like, famous archaeologist Indiana Jones has discovered a new temple.
Yeah,
Everyone's
and
getting
then
rich.
wouldn't he stop people from going in there? Because like his whole
Yeah.
thing is that you shouldn't use it. But I guess
Maybe he
it's-
didn't have control of that. Maybe he discovered it, and he's like upset that it's become like
Maybe
a tourist
there's
attraction.
a subplot. Yeah, maybe there's a subplot where the financier of his expedition was like, "Sorry, Indy,
I can
own
make
this
some money
expedition."
from this. And then he's
And
like,
then-
you're going to open up a portal to hell, you bastard.
And then he's like, "Nope, we're going in there." And then now, then now Indy has to go in and save the people because they didn't listen to him.
And he doesn't want to. He's upset about it.
Yeah, but he does it anyway.
Yeah,
And he says, "Next time, cover your eyes."
that's right. Is the Indiana Jones stunt spectacular, epic stunt spectacular, is that canon?
Well, no, because that's literally.
That's just all the
I've never-
different stunts, right?
I've never seen it. It's not Indiana Jones saying, "Hey guys, look what I can do."
Mm-hmm.
It's a guy saying, "Hey, I'm gonna do the stunts from the Indiana Jones movie." It's not
Yeah.
like it's called the Indiana Jones Stunt Spectacular. It's not watch Indiana Jones live
Uh-huh.
and doing stuff.
Okay,
Here's
so
what happens live.
Temple
Yeah.
of the Forbidden Eye is
Yeah.
set in 1935. Is that the earliest thing? Like, I guess other than young Indiana Jones, is that the earliest thing? Because when is Temple of Doom set?
Temple of Doom is 34.
Oh,
isn't it?
34. Okay. So this is the same time that he's doing the Raiders stuff then.
Oh shit! Actually, Temple of Doom is 35.
Oh, okay. So
So he's already in Asia, so I feel
I
like
guess,
he's already
yeah.
doing stuff, you know. So,
Mhm.
but then is the
Mara.
Temple of the Crystal Skull canon? Because then that would be in Mexico, I think, right?
Yeah.
Um,
Oh yeah, because there's the Disney.
It's the
Sea
same
version.
ride.
You're talking
Yeah,
about
it's the
that?
same ride, but just with the skull as the power thing.
That should have come up in the movie, where it's like King of the Crystal
I've
Skull.
already done this.
I've done this before.
I will say, I know this is like so off topic, but like, I always wondered what when the flashing lights in that ride was, and then when I saw illustrations, it's laser beams, like the Temple of Mara. It's shoot the little skull thing is shooting lasers at you.
Mm-hmm. That ride is so good. Let's go to
that's the one-
Disneyland like right
Yeah.
now.
I'm telling you know, I was gonna say, you know what? I kind of feel like going for Christmas time.
Yeah?
You know, I kind of feel like
That
I
would be
could
fun.
I
I could probably swing that. We'll all
Yeah,
show up.
that's-
We'll all show up in our cosplay.
That's right, Indiana Jones. Yeah.
Yeah. By the way,
We all have. Yeah.
we're talking about Indy today.
Have to get a hat.
That's right.
Yeah.
Dr. Jones. Dr. Henry Jones Jr.
Junior.
Yeah, guys, welcome to Sound Direction, a mentor podcast without the stuffiness. I'm one of your hosts, Ethan M. Wong.
I am Spencer DSO, another one of your hosts.
That's right.
And I am your other host, MJ.
Welcome, everyone. This is a very special episode. I know we've been kind of hinting at it for a long time, and we can't let the pod end without talking about Indiana Jones, or at least a year end without talking about Indiana Jones. And this is part 1 of 2. It originally wasn't going to be, but we realized if we did an episode on all of the menswear found within Indiana Jones, it would have to be
Because it's 5
2.
fucking movies.
Yeah, 2 years ago when we thought about this, or I say 3 years ago, before Dial of Destiny was announced, we were like, maybe we could do all in one, and then now we're like, fuck, there's 5 now.
Fuck. Yeah, the one.
Now
movie
there's the
was
Great
straw that broke
Circle,
the camel's back.
the
Oh yeah,
video
I actually really
game.
want to play that game.
I don't want it. It looks bad, but
I
I
just
think it looks
think
cool.
the name is really bad. The Great Circle or whatever.
Yeah, where every like greatest archaeological find in the world lines up around the globe on a circle. Like that sounds crazy actually.
And then there's the goofy Nazi.
Yeah, Emmerich Voss or something like that.
Mickey
Mouse. Played by a Greek guy.
Yeah. There you go.
We were talking about that earlier. But yeah, the Greeks. Shout out to the great master Archimedes.
Yes.
Yeah, he can't have that. By the way, he can't have that one. He's gonna make his own. That's a little Helena Shaw for you guys there.
A little
Fleabag
Fleabag.
action. That's right. But we're talking about Indiana Jones today because it goes without saying, but I'm gonna say it anyway. It's an iconic movie with an iconic, a costumed character.
At least,
I think.
And I know
yeah.
that at least for Ethan and I guess we'll hear about your story with it, MJ. But at least for Ethan and I, this is a very formative movie for us.
Oh yeah. I would even go to say like formative, like in general.
Yeah.
I think it's just, obviously we all love the movies here. I think we all fancy ourselves some kind of filmmaker, writer, some kind of creative, and this is a movie I wish I could make now. And not to talk about Hollywood, but I feel like we're not making movies like this anymore. So it's watching this or a lot of this movie is built on like nostalgia and just like what I want from a movie. It's a lot of fun. They're all, some of them are not as good as the others or good in general, but I have fun watching them. I have more fun. I'll say it at the top here. I've had more fun watching this than I do Star Wars, and that sounds crazy, but it's true because these are fun.
I am a bigger fan of Indy than I am Star Wars, and so is Harrison Ford, as we were also discussing.
Yeah, because why was that, Spencer? They asked him, right, if who would play him in the reboot, or his thoughts in the reboot.
And he was like, fucking nobody. I'm Indiana Jones forever, bitch. I don't think he said that. Yeah. I don't think he swears. He does swear, but not then.
Yeah, it's like, I wonder if it's like one of those gotcha interviews where like they show him like that famous Photoshop photo of him standing for Last Crusade, but with Chris Pratt's face like superimposed onto it, and he's like, fuck this shit.
And he went,
who is that?
And he went and actually killed Chris Pratt.
Yeah. That guy, he's like, you're going, I know you're a big Christian guy who goes to like Hillsong, but you're going to hell.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's a Hillsong guy.
I think he's part of some weird church. I'm pretty sure it's Hillsong. I'm not trying to slander.
Is that
Mr.
slander?
Pratt. It's spoken, isn't it?
Yeah. That's true.
Yeah.
Actually, allegedly from we don't know. This is speculation. We don't actually know. We're not making a formulative judgment. I don't know if that counts for slander. But yeah, I don't remember exactly when I first saw it. However, I do remember at a friend's, my family wasn't, we didn't have all the biggest, even though we did have a lot of, the DVDs and whatever, when I was a kid, we did not have those things. But one of our family friends who was definitely better off than we were, had Temple of Doom on Laserdisc. Ooh. And I remember being able to watch that with like a little home audio system thing back. And again, back in the 90s when I was like a kid, like I was like, this is like a fucking movie theater. You know what I'm saying? Like this is crazy.
You saw it on Laserdisc. That's awesome.
Yeah, we didn't finish it because again, it was at a family friend's house, and so like it was like, Ethan, we gotta go. And I'm like, I gotta see whatever the fuck's happening. I remember also being terrified of the Kali Ma sequence where
it's scary.
Yeah, is it still? Do they say that it's real or not? Like, is it in his head? Are they all like on like the the high of the moment?
This is like before they get the Kali Ma drug, the blood or whatever. So I think they're just like watching it happen. They're watching him rip a guy's heart out, and also later
but the guy's alive.
Yeah,
and then
also later, like they almost rip out Indy's heart when he's on the bridge. He like sticks his fingers in him.
Does it? Okay, here's my thing. I don't remember it going through. I remember him going like, "Oh my god!" Like, and maybe it's like I think to me, my head kind of like it's like a psychological like thing where like, like he's freaking Indy out, giving him like a panic attack or something like that. Or
Indiana
like a
Jones having a realistic panic attack.
Yeah, that's actually what was missing from Dial of Destiny. But yeah, I mean, I've also like dressed up as Indy. I mean, it's hard, and we'll get into this as we talk about the costume. But like, it's hard to not wear a fedora and leather jacket and be like, and even again, I know we make fun of it from other people saying it, but like when you put it on, it's like it kind of is because
Yeah.
that's the main frame of reference that we
It doesn't
like
matter if
have.
it's not the right colors. It's like I've gotten it when I'm just wearing a fedora with anything. People now like
Yeah,
associate that
Two
hat so
two
much
two
with
sources
Indiana
of
Jones.
brown
Yeah.
automatically makes
yeah.
people think of
I mean,
Indy.
well, would you get that if you were wearing? Here's the thing: if you were wearing like a suit and a gray hat, you might not get it.
Hmm.
However, if you wore a suit and a brown hat, they would say it
Yeah.
because I think
I
it's
mean,
the
I get it
brown.
with like
It's
my
that kind of brown
Stetson,
hat.
like my silver belly Stetson. People are like, "Oh, Indiana Jones hat." I'm like, not quite, but I think it's just
not
any
even the ribbon.
wide brimmed fedora is like just Indiana Jones now.
What's funny, I wonder if I'll ever get it if I'm wearing my Tyrolean hat, which is the smallest brim and shortest crown that I could ever have.
Yeah.
I wonder. And it also braided, braided ribbon. It would be crazy. I would get mad if someone said, "Hey, Indiana Jones," I'd be like, "No, like this is straight up what it doesn't look like. It's
Yeah.
like the most not of what it looks like."
It's the most not.
Um, yeah.
Um,
But yeah, I mean, one of the first fedoras I ever got was brown, which now is in the hands of Spencer.
it's right
Well, that's
there.
actually not it. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's one of the. I actually had a like really soft fedora that I definitely was too small. I think I sold that either back to Benny or to Joyride or something. I got another fedora, which is like a more like late 40s or early 50s fedora, which is Spencer's brown fedora.
Hmm.
And I also have my again my first ever Wellama, which was custom made to order for me, or bespoke. Because I did have a gray ready to wear one that I promptly gave to Spencer as well. But my first fedora bespoke fedora from Wellamo was a brown fedora. It's in there like it's not sable as we'll get into, which is what the color of the Herbert and Johnson fedora. But it's like mine is like dark brown. I don't know. It's called like wood or something like that.
Yeah.
And I also got a
It's made of
tonal
wood.
brown sweat brand.
Wooden hat.
Yeah, wood.
Hmm.
And that's on my first hat. But I've definitely worn outfits like it. For not Dapper Day, but for like Disneyland. When I Disney bound because I want an excuse to cosplay, I would wear like I think I have like a leather members only jacket back that I thrifted in college, and like I wore that with a fedora to Disneyland. And then when I got into vintage for a costume skate night at my college, because you don't have Halloween, you have costume skate night, so it doesn't use the words Halloween in the title. I did dress up as Indiana Jones, and my friend Raj dressed up as Sala, which I feel like even though Raj is not Egyptian, neither is John Rhys
No.
Davies. I'm pretty sure there's brown face in that, and we'll get into
Oh,
that in the second half of
absolutely.
the episode.
Yeah.
But I mean, hey, Raj is a person of color, and so he was able to kind of pull off a Sala. I mean, it just kind of made sense more in that way. But I wore a fedora with a like a work shirt like from like Forever 21 that I had, brown Cheetos, and I had a G1, which is the fur collar version of the A2 or the G2 or whatever. But it was actually no, it was just a shearling collar A2 from the like mid 40s. So it wasn't quite the the Top Gun leather jacket that you would normally see, because it was also civilian.
'Cause you
But that
also
was
had
my whole
Top
thing.
Fun.
That's right. I was there, and oh yeah, my friend John dressed up as Han Solo, so we took a picture together as our favorite Harrison Ford characters. But that was me. And we'll get into the costuming later on and how we invoke it today. But that was my kind of experience with Indiana Jones, and I try and rewatch some of the movies fairly often. Spencer, what about you? What's your connection with Indiana Jones?
I don't remember how old I was when I first saw the movies, but I do remember specifically when
Yep.
I first saw them. Well, not when, but I remember the circumstances in which I watched the first movie. I think like I was recommended it by my like dentist or something. Or it was like I remember it was a rainy day. And
Okay.
like I was at like some sort of appointment, and either the dentist or the receptionist or something was like, I don't know why, but whenever it's rainy, I like to watch Indiana Jones. Maybe it's a very sunny
Okay.
movie or something. It is a very warm movie. And so I asked my mom, it's like, can we go rent Indiana Jones? And so we got it from, like, I had never seen it before. I don't think I really knew what it was about. But so we went and got it from the Hollywood Video that was right by my house. I had Jiffy Pop with it. And I loved it. I fell in love with Indiana Jones. And I was like, oh my God, this is the greatest movie of all time. I think before then, my other greatest movie of all time was probably like maybe, I don't know, Pirates of the Caribbean or something.
Hell yeah.
And it's like, hey, I don't know, you can make a connection between those. They're both adventure movies. I think you could kind of describe Indiana Jones as a little bit swashbuckling, even though he's a whipster and not a swordster. And
Maybe the most in
gunster.
Raiders, probably, right?
Yeah, probably. But yeah, I just had so much fun with it. And then I remember a few years later, I saw Temple of Doom. I just like recorded it, TiVo. I saw it on TV, and TiVo, and I was like, oh my God, he's getting his heart fucking ripped out. This movie is fucking crazy. And it's like, yeah, I didn't like see him like all at once, or I wasn't like, oh my God, I need to get the other two. But I saw them within a couple years of each other, and they're all so fucking good. I don't know. There's so many sequences that I constantly think about. Just like, you know, I don't know. On my most recent rewatch, I know a lot of people say that of the original three, like Temple of Doom is the worst one. I don't know. It's hard. Like, it's hard because like there are many very valid concerns about it, or not concerns, criticisms. But like still,
it's like stepping on fortune cookies.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh boy.
But like the minecart thing is so good. Like the opening sequence of that movie is like incredible. I love when they retreat into the like dragon's mouth or whatever at the club and just go into a full like fantasy movie world dance sequence. Like that
Which
is so
doesn't
good.
make sense because
But it's
how
movie
are
magic.
I know, but like there's a like are they is that actually happening? Because like
I
they're
think it's
like
just a
they're at a club
representation of like
of what
it
the dance
feels like, I guess.
like,
or
to watch
I
this.
think it's just
Okay.
Spielberg was like, I want to do a big dance sequence.
Yeah, I can't direct a James Bond movie, so I'm gonna do not only a golden Hollywood dance thing, but I'm also gonna have James Bond basically in the beginning of this movie.
I think that you were maybe the one that included this clip, but I like the part, or no, I might have found this on one of the many Indiana Jones fan websites that we consulted for this episode. But there's a good clip of George Lucas talking about the origins of Indiana Jones.
I'm sorry.
And he was saying that while he was working on American Graffiti, I think, or maybe even before then, he was like, I have two ideas for movies. One of them is a space thing. And that's all he says. It's like a space thing. And the other one is this like old fashioned like adventure movie. And then he was like, I decided to do the space thing because I thought that would be more fun. And he was like shopping Indiana Jones around to like his other like buddies.
Yeah.
And Steven Spielberg, who like what was he coming off of in like 1982 or whatever? Like what he had
E.T. I think.
E.T. Yeah, 1981. So he's coming off of E.T. This was actually right after Star Wars. This must have been like right after, like a couple years after Jaws or something. But George Lucas said that he was like relaxing on a beach after Star Wars. Just enjoying. It's like, wow, I just like invented the blockbuster. That's so cool.
Well, Jaws invented the
Jaws,
blockbuster,
yeah.
and then Spielberg. Then Lucas like codified what it meant to have a summer blockbuster.
Yeah, but like he was hanging out with like Steven Spielberg, who's like, you know, Georgie Poo. That's probably what they called him. What I really want to do is James Bond, and then Lucas hit him with like, you know what's better than James Bond? An American archaeologist who solves mysteries and gets in adventures.
Yeah, hell yeah.
The characters are like, I guess I just like, I was talking about this. I feel like Indiana Jones, is he like the American equivalent of a James Bond figure? Because obviously you could just have like a spy.
He's in the OSS.
Yeah,
he's in the OSS during the war.
Like, I don't know. I feel like if you want to have like a closer analog, it might be Ethan Hunt. From Mission Impossible, but like, I don't know, this is a very like, if you were taking the concept of just like, if you were like, okay, well, James Bond is like
Well,
an adventure star, like a movie series. I guess I know it's a book first, but like a movie series that has this very like British character that's going on adventures. This is a very American character.
yeah, I mean, I think with all of the stuff though, the difference with the Ethan Hunt and James Bond is that like he's not on a mission.
Impossible.
Maybe, yeah. I mean, other than Raiders, I guess Raiders makes sense. It's like they need him to do this. Temple of Doom, he stumbles upon to it. Last Crusade, he gets hired by someone else. He's commissioned. And then Crystal Skull, same thing, he's kidnapped. And then Dial of Destiny, he has to somehow clear his name by finding the fucking antique Ithera. Because he's a fucking murderer, which is the craziest plot of all time, but whatever. But yeah, I mean, there's so much fun to be had in Indiana Jones. I mean, that's one reason why I loved reading the Tintin books, because like as a kid, I mean, from what I remember, I remember seeing Indiana Jones, like briefly, because I don't think we didn't own the DVDs until I was a teenager. Then I like got the Tintin comics. I'm like, well, this is awesome, and then I'm like, okay, well, there's a lot more of these, and then Indiana Jones on DVD.
Yeah.
And then I was very excited. I mean, hey, Tintin is like Indiana Jones except a reporter. And there is some archaeological stuff. There is not King Arthur Scepter, but there is Tintin and the Broken Ear, which is about him and finding like a little idol. But like it's an idol that was used by drug smugglers. So
And we know
less
for a fact that
archaeological, but,
Spielberg
yeah.
likes Tintin.
Yes, but he apparently didn't know that Tintin existed when he made it, which I thought
What?
that was like a Mandela effect thing I had. Yeah, it was like I read it and he's like, I don't know, but like he had like no idea what Tintin was when he made Indiana Jones.
That's
or when George Lucas was
crazy.
saying we're doing it.
Wow. Because I was going to say, I feel like there are a lot of parallels between Tintin and Indy.
I mean, yeah. The one interesting thing though is like I guess over each one, Indy uses his gun less, because they don't want to associate it with that. I mean, that could be the woke Disney talking right there.
That's right.
But also same thing. Tintin doesn't really use a gun, as much, but in Tintin he does. At least during the boat sequence, he does use a gun. When he's escaping, he only shoots environmental things. Like he'll shoot like a light or he'll shoot like a lever or something. Because Tintin doesn't kill people.
No. He's like
But
Batman
Indiana
in that
Jones
way.
definitely does. MJ, what's your connection with Indiana Jones?
I think it was kind of similar to you. Like one of my uncles like owned it, like the my dad's best friend was like a big like collector's edition for like DVD sets and stuff. So
What a dad
so
thing to do.
yeah, I think it was him. Like when we visited his house or something, he had it and like we watched it or we borrowed it or something like that. And then, of course, being friends with you, being exposed to like that Jurassic Park, Inspector Gadget.
Hell yeah.
But by
Yeah, all three types of the same movie: Indiana Jones, Jurassic Park, Inspector Gadget.
Side note, being friends with Ethan when Inspector Gadget came out was the first exposure to like cosplay, I guess, because Ethan would.
Hell yeah.
Because
as you guys know, I dress
that's
up
a
as it.
classic Ethan movie fixation.
Hell yeah.
Inspector Gadget.
Yeah, watch our episode. I mean, hey, this is on the main feed, but you gotta go to the bonus feed for the Inspector Gadget episode.
Yeah.
Did you ever dress up like him, MJ, at all? Did you ever do that?
As Indy or as Inspector Gadget?
As Indiana Jones.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
Even though he's like the most, I guess, like real, like has the most real outfits. Like you could see like you could imagine somebody actually wearing it versus like, I don't know, like somebody dressing like Luke Skywalker, I guess.
Walking around.
Yeah, it's like.
I mean, I don't know. Check out New York, because people have crazy fashion.
Yeah, New
I
York
guess.
in 2024 may be different, but
That's right.
yeah, I don't think I like had a leather jacket like growing up as a kid. Definitely didn't have a fedora. Even like a fedora phase, it wasn't me. I think because I always had like specific hairstyles, maybe that's why I didn't get into like hats and stuff.
That's right.
But I mean, I always thought it was cool. So maybe now that like we're looking into it really closely, I mean, it's been a long time coming to get a hat, but
Yes, it has been. Yeah. Well, let's jump into it here. So Indiana Jones as a costume. Um, I mean, so first off, I think we should talk about the character of Indiana Jones. Like, he is an archaeologist. He is a professor. It takes place, at least for the original films, during the 30s, at least, at the very least, 1935 to 1939, because it's 35 for Temple of Doom, 36 for Raiders, and 39 for Crusade. And you've also got 1945 for the beginning of the first 20 minutes of Dial of Destiny. During the whole time, he is a professor. He is a professor of archaeology at Marshall College for the first 3, and not Bennington College. That's in New York. Actually, is it Bennington College?
I don't know. Well, because in the fourth one, he's in New York. Isn't he still a professor at the same college in Crystal Skull, or is that a new one?
No, because remember in Dial of Destiny, his college is in like Manhattan somewhere for some reason or something, right?
Yeah, he's still in New York. Hunter College.
He's Hunter College in Dial of Destiny.
Yeah.
Okay, and where is it in Crystal Skull?
It is Crystal Skull, Marshall College.
I'm trying to.
Maybe no wait. Hold on.
So it's the same college. Oh yeah, because there's a statue of Marcus Brody at the college,
that's right.
It's the same college.
Is Marshall College? It's not a real university, right?
I don't think.
Is it named after producer Frank Marshall?
It could be, but it is also a public research institution in Huntington, West Virginia.
Well, I don't think he's in West Virginia.
Yeah, Marshall. Yeah, because that would be Marshall University.
That's right. They would be,
in Huntington, West Virginia.
Oh my God!
I'm Indiana Jones.
Should have had an accent like that. He should have been Southern.
Yeah.
What if he was Cajun?
I'm down here at Marshall University.
Yeah, that's right.
I don't know. Is that like, I'm just trying to do like a. Oh shit! Yeah, what's it called? Jim Cummings as the little firefly from Evangeline, my love.
That's right.
Let's get some of that jambalaya.
Jambalaya.
Yeah, shrimp.
I'm down at the swamp.
Yeah, I'm down there at the swamp.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah. So Indiana Jones, he's like what, in his 30s?
Yeah, he's born
early
in
30s.
According to his fictional character biography, he's born in 1899. So he is in his 30s for at least the first one.
He'd be 13 in the beginning of 1912 for the beginning of the Last Crusade. And speaking of 12-year-olds,
speaking of 12-year-olds,
add 4 years, and you'll get the age of Marion when she was 16, and he was like 25 when they like meet out.
Oh my God, I love it. Well, I don't love it. The thing where it's like there's like some interview with George Lucas and Spielberg, and it's like, we thought it would be funnier the younger she was. I'm like, you guys are freaks.
And it's like, didn't like Steven Spielberg was like, all right, like Lucas, we should pause it like at like a certain teenage year, I think, or something like that.
They're like,
but yeah, she's young. Yeah, like how old? Yeah, Marion Ravenwood. Because
that's the reason he had a falling out with her dad, right?
Yeah. Marion was about 16 or 17 when the relationship ended. I wonder if they retconned as like they kissed and then he left as like that, because I feel like if the answer is they did more stuff, that's bad.
That is bad.
Yeah, and Jones was 10 years her senior.
Man, okay.
Yeah. Marion chastised Jones, saying, "I was a child. I was in love. It was wrong and you knew it." And he says, "You know what you were doing."
Oh, God.
What a Bill Clinton, Monica Lewinsky thing to say, you know?
Yeah.
He
lived long enough to vote for Bill Clinton, potentially. I just included a photo of old Indiana Jones from the young Indiana Jones Chronicles.
I love that he is dressed like his dad.
Yeah.
Kind of, nice. Except with his fedora. It's cute.
Anyway. So one thing, I know that canonically he lives until the 90s, but after watching Dial of Destiny, he's not going to live another 30 years, right?
After being shot in the shoulder.
Well, he's just so fucking old in that movie. Like, I know, I'm talking about real life Harrison Ford here, I guess, but like...
Yeah. When he dies when? When does it say he dies?
I don't know if he dies.
He lives forever, man.
He might live
Yeah.
forever. I think he's like straight up like 100 years old in the show. Um, okay, hold on. Who plays old Indy?
Yeah. I want to see. I mean, when he's supposed to be 93. So, I mean, yeah, he's supposed to be 93 at the end of at when he's doing the show.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, so he's such an interesting guy, and he's got a really great outfit. And the thing about the outfit is, it's iconic. You started him out in that sequence in Raiders in the temple, in Peru, and then of course you kind of immediately cut to him teaching at college wearing like a 3-piece suit.
And it's kind of like, it's kind of a fun, like, I don't know. I feel like that must have been a twist. Like, if you didn't know, like, if you were watching this in 1981 and didn't know, oh, this guy's
You were like,
a
"Whoa!"
professor. It's like, wait, what the hell? I mean, because it's like, you could tell, like, from the opening moments of Raiders that Spielberg knew he had, like, an iconic character here. Like, the choice to, like, wait, like, 10 minutes before showing his face. They're like, I'm going to make you wait for this guy.
Yeah, I mean, like, yeah, you see him, like, when it says Indiana Jones, like, you see him silhouetted against the background, like, just the hat and the jacket, I guess. I think his collar is kind of turned up in those scenes. And so then, yeah, of course, you don't see his face until he whips the guy who tries to take him out, and then he emerges from the shadows. And the music doesn't even play his theme. It has, like, more foreboding suspenseful music. It's like, bum, 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 like, when he, like, comes out. And so, like, it's, like, kind of like anti-hero stuff. But he's not as anti-hero as, like, Harrison Ford. I mean, as Han Solo, who shoots a man. Like, he doesn't even kill that guy. He just, like, whips his hand.
Yeah.
But Han Solo shoots Greedo point blank at a bar.
Of course. I mean, hey,
there.
there's we're not going to go through the plots of all 5 movies because that would take up the entire episode. But gotta give a shout out to one of the best moments of at least Raiders is when the swordsman comes out and does all the crazy tricks, and then he's like just shoots him. And of course,
they didn't even start fighting.
And of course that was done because like Harrison Ford had like the flu.
Everyone had dysentery.
Oh,
everyone.
And they like flew in that guy from England who like apparently spent like weeks practicing and
choreographing. Yeah. They had a whole thing. They were like going through the whole like marketplace, and they just like, we're just gonna fucking shoot him.
Yeah, that's great.
It's funny because again they call back to it in Temple of Doom, where he doesn't like he's gonna shoot the guy, and then he doesn't have his pistol because he lost it during the minecart chase or whatever, and but then he uses his whip. And then as I said earlier, they do that in Dial of Destiny where he does his whole whip thing. He's like, get back, and then they just whip out like
everybody
10 guns on him.
Yeah.
So kind of funny there. But yeah, I mean, Indiana Jones got a lot of iconic things. He does change guns throughout the movies. Like there's like a different. Hey, we should have maybe had Bamf style because Bamf knows his guns, but I know he has like different lengths of revolvers. He uses
like
a Luger.
right? Wembley.
Yeah. And so he's got different guns, and his outfit is again it's iconic. What's interesting about it is that it's not technically. It's sportswear if you think about it. It's like military, it's like milsurp, kind of. It's kind of sportswear because he's wearing a civilian version of an A2, and we'll get into that in a second. Because it's not a military one. He is wearing a dress or a normal fedora. It is not even a sporty fedora, or even like a bush hat or a safari pith helmet, which other films that happened during the period it's set in would people would probably have been wearing. And he's got a whole bunch. He's got his web belt. He's got his Indy boots. He's got
almost like military pinks, but they're pleated, so they're different. But
yeah, and they're not as pink as pinks.
No,
they're kind of, but they're clearly supposed to kind of be in that vein. He's got his like utility belt, which has got like his holster and his whip, his bullwhip handle thing on there. He's got his satchel that he wears under the jacket in Raiders, which they stopped doing later on. And yeah, it's such an iconic thing, but. It's different than his regular attire. And what's interesting that I noticed is that when he's not in the field, he always is wearing a suit. So like it's clearly like that is his his like Batman costume, if you will. Like whenever he's out there doing the Indiana Jones thing, that is his outfit. When he's Professor Jones, he wears his like tweedy three pieces. You know, he alternates between, wearing a foulard tie, very 30s in Raiders, to wearing a bow tie in Crusade. His jackets are belt backs, or at least the first one is. It's an 80s belt back, and we'll get into that in a second. He's got his P3 glasses, his tortoiseshell glasses. But he also wears a double-breasted suit later a couple times during Raiders. But he also owns at least one other fedora, which is interesting. He wears a gray fedora in Raiders during they call it the Clipper fedora because it happens when he's on the Clipper seaplane. Also worn at the end of the movie. Side note: the outfit he wears on the plane in that scene is the same outfit he wears at the end of the movie. I wonder if they shot those in the same day and they're like, well, it's enough time.
They probably did. That's movie magic. You can shoot things out of sequence, believe it or not.
That's right. Yeah. But yeah, he is wearing a navy blue double-breasted suit that looks very 40s, but of course it's the 80s, so it could be very close. But also he is wearing like a white shirt and a red either medallion or foulard tie in a Windsor knot. Crazy, by the way. But at the end of the movie, when he's with Marion on those steps, he's wearing the exact same tie and suit. So it is, and he's wearing the same gray hat. But yeah, so it's interesting that Indy has different outfits or at least he wears things when he's not out in the field. This carries off into Crystal Skull. When he's on when he's teaching, but also when he is on the train leaving because he's been accepted to go teach in London because he's on the commie blacklist or whatever.
That's right.
And so he's about to leave there, and he does wear his gray fedora there, and of course at the end of the movie he wears a bow tie and a fleck, a 50s fleck suit when he gets married. But he does wear his iconic fedora at the end of that movie. Dial of Destiny, also he wears like a sack suit, like a 70s sack suit there, and like a wool tie because he's a professor. But he wears his main thing a lot more. So it goes without saying that people like this is it's one of the most iconic outfits in history, in movie history. And yeah, let's talk about the jacket first. I mean, that's probably like one of the big things.
Oh yeah.
Because I know the hat will take up most of it. So let's just kind of speed through the other stuff.
Because the jacket's pretty simple. It's I don't know. We're gonna include some images in this of like actual 1930s jackets, and it's kind of an interesting mix. Like I could have seen this thing existing in the 30s, but it's an interesting mix of like
to an extent, right?
Yeah, of an A2 and then kind of like more civilian styles, and a lot of the decisions that they made in terms of the styling of the jacket were purely like practical in terms of like filming, because I know that I think they tried some versions that had like webbing. Okay, we'll describe it first. It's like basically a World War II style A2, except with no jersey knit on the sleeves or the hem.
Yes, which was requested.
Yes,
actually, which is crazy.
Because I think the jersey knit would like get caught on his like holster or whatever.
Yeah, it would get wet. It would get ruined or whatever. Yeah, I think it is crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, plain hemmed leather jackets.
But again, we've included some images of jackets from the 30s that looked, more or less like this.
Yes. Yeah.
But yes, he wears that in all of the movies, and as you know, again, even in the most recent one, Dial of Destiny, which first of all sucks ass. I hate that movie. Also, it's what everyone says Crystal Skull is. It's so bad. But in that movie, he's still wearing the same jacket that he wears, in Raiders onward. Because the costume designer included like a little stitch on the shoulder, like a little hand
when he got
repair
shot.
from when he got shot in Raiders. So the implication is like he's been wearing the same jacket for 30 plus years.
Yeah.
Yeah, and when we say shot in Raiders, it's because he gets shot when he's taking the truck. That truck sequence. He also gets shot straight in the fucking chest, I guess, in the at the end of that movie.
Yeah.
But yeah, what's interesting too, again, it's an A2 style, so it's got the like the kind of like patch flap pockets. It does not have the side hand warmer pockets. It only has the top ones there. Especially said there's no ribbing on the hems. It has a storm front, so it doesn't have it does not have the exposed zipper. and it also does not have the collar buttons,
It
which
has
is
that
common
same like collar
among.
shape though, just minus the buttons.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's again very similar to what you would see in civilian ones, where civilian A2s, like the one I own, from the 40s, does not have a the collar buttons. On the back, it does have a bi-swing back, but no belt. It just has like kind of like that, like the arm pleat, and in lieu of a belt, it does have side straps up in like the lower back on the sides. And they I think they replaced like the rings of those side tabs have like a little thing on them. I think they say it's like says they replaced the original one and make it say like British or something like on that to make it like feel older. But yeah, so that's his jacket, and again it is meant to look like a civilian like military style jacket. However, it looks very 80s. It is longer then it goes kind of past the natural waist, but that kind of makes sense because Indiana Jones does not wear his pants in his natural waist,
No.
so it kind of evens out in that
And
way.
it seems like the jacket is also like a little bit oversized. Like it kind of hangs off his shoulders a little bit.
Yeah, that definitely happens. I think like later on, and I think Raiders is like the most snug it is ever in the movies, and they kind of make it bigger as it goes on.
I guess we should also maybe now is a good we'll talk more about the influence, like on the costume. But like this is he is basically dressed exactly like Charlton Heston in Secret of the Incas, but the difference is in that one Charlton Heston is wearing an actual like military A2. You could tell it has like the name pad or the name tag. It has like the insignia, like stuff like that. And he's wearing that with a fucking giant fedora. And I guess the main difference is he also has like kind of the Air Force style, like white silk scarf.
Underneath.
Yeah. But of course, his does have the ribbing, the jersey knit on the cuffs and on the hem. So they tried that, I guess. We look through. There's a bunch of different resources for information on the costumes.
And also we're gonna watch Secret of the Incas also, by the way.
We should.
So.
I haven't seen it ever.
Oh, that's the bonus. That's what we're gonna do.
Oh, there you
That's
go.
what
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they went to Western Costumes, who like gave them a bunch of actual like World War II A2s, and they were like, "This ain't gonna work. We can't use this."
Crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, but the World War II influence still kind of keeps going on there, even though this takes place again in the early 30s. So he's not even enlisted. He in World War I canonically. I don't know if
he did fight in World War I. And the young Indiana Jones, I think he fought in World War I.
Yeah, got it.
Yeah.
Also, I guess he doesn't have a web belt in the first one. He has leather belt. Anyway, but they're clearly going for like a pseudo military thing with this, right? So underneath the jacket, he is wearing I guess it's a safari shirt, if you want to call it that. It's like a military style shirt in the sense, or it's a work shirt. In the sense of it's got a point collar. It's khaki, like poplin or whatever twill, and it's got two chest pockets. However, it also has epaulets, and it's got like this center like these two like reverse or these like two box pleats just going down the front of it, going right through the pocket.
Yeah.
Typically from work shirts you would see that just on the pocket, but here it goes all the way
down.
through it.
Why, by the way? Is there a practical reason for that?
And I guess maybe it's kind of a safari shirt at that point.
Yeah, I guess it looks cool. It looks interesting. I'm sure there is some sort of practical reason for it. Maybe it's like a reinforcement or something, or maybe if it's an actual pleat, it allows for a little bit more movement or something, but I don't know. It looks good. It's an iconic shirt. Everyone knows it.
That's right.
And of course, we should say this has angered millions of people, but in Dial of Destiny, he is wearing a different shirt.
That's right, which is also weird that they did that, considering that the jacket's the same and the hat's the same, but the shirt is
not.
And
in the flashback sequences, he is wearing that same shirt with the pleats down the front. But
I guess you could argue that in reality, you would probably replace a shirt before you'd replace a hat and a leather jacket.
That is true,
so.
because also, like, the shirt gets destroyed in Temple of Doom.
Yeah, but it's back in Crystal Skull.
That's true.
So he clearly he had a shirt guy for the first four stuff. He had it until like the 60s, and then
the shirt
that
guy
factory went out of
died.
business.
It's
He's
like,
oh fuck.
It's like the manufacturer stopped making it that way, and then he was like,
I guess I gotta.
Yeah, it's like I guess I got. It's like when Brooks Brothers stopped, they, like changed their shirt, and everyone got really mad. He was like,
That's right.
"Oh
There's no
fuck!" They took
pocket
the
or
pleats
whatever.
off, and of course, we found a YouTuber that was like, "This is the real reason that this movie sucks. It's because the
They don't
shirt's different."
understand the
Yeah.
shirt.
That's funny. But yeah, so underneath the shirt, oh yeah, and again, undoubtedly there is no, to be clear, there's no pleats on that. It's just like a regular work shirt. But he's wearing the officer's pinks, which are, well, it's in that style. It's got like that brownish pinkish hue that you would see on officers' uniforms in World War II. But his are pleated, which the original ones were not. Um, and I guess they are made of wool, but obviously in the 80s, like this is not like a rougher, like flannelly wool that you would probably see in World War II. This is like a worsted. It's very very smooth
Yeah.
on Indiana Jones.
And you could see it has a giant hem. Like there's so much excess fabric in these. I'm sending an image to our Discord right now, but this is on
Yeah.
Indie Gear. But you could see there's like 4 or 5 inches of excess fabric. So if he ever gets really tall, like maybe he finds I don't know, some sort of artifact that makes him tall, he can still wear those same pants.
Yeah, Indiana Jones and the leg stilts.
Yes, exactly. The leg longer. He meets leg.
Yeah.
What if Indiana Jones met long leg?
Oh shit! What do they call you that? I brought my long legs today.
Yeah.
I only know that because you said that.
He does
so-
say that. That's why he's called long legs, because he wears his long legs in the first scene. And the rest of the movie
Yeah.
he's wearing is short legs. So it should have been called short
That's right.
legs, honestly.
It's
Yeah.
funny.
And hey, we're talking about it now. He is wearing Alden 405 Indy boots. Or they
Yes.
call it that because they are the Indy boots.
They named the boot after him retroactively.
That's right.
But the story
Yeah.
goes that
right. Yeah, tell the
Harrison
story.
Ford was a fan of these boots because he wore them when he was a carpenter. Which, how much did they used to cost? Because that's like...
Well, I think you could argue that Alden's been increasing prices.
That is
the
so
past
true.
30,
That is so
40
true.
years. Yeah.
But he was originally going to be wearing Red Wings, I think, which are also historically accurate because they've been around since like 19 something. I don't know. Who cares? But then they decided, but then Harrison Ford was like, oh, why don't I wear the Indy boot? And they're like, why? It's not, what do you mean? And it's like, that's what they're going to
is that?
call it after I wear these boots.
Yeah, it's like a store in like Sherman Oaks, and that was a big thing.
Yes, Fredericks. And I remember, so one of these white websites, the fan websites, it was so weird. It was like, I actually was so lucky to beat Frederick before he was murdered or something. And I was like, wait, what?
He just died of old age.
Okay, he was murdered
think-
by time.
Yeah. The Dial of Destiny killed him actually.
Yes.
Oh no.
Yeah.
This
I
says that
love
the Red
reading
Wings
regular people.
1905s are almost identical to Alden's. I feel like that's not true.
I'm looking it up
What's
right now.
what's
Red
the price
Wing.
difference?
They said 1905.
Yeah. Red Wing 1905.
Those are fucking mock boots, man. Those aren't the Alden Indy boot,
Yeah.
bro.
I gotta say, Alden Indy boot, so good. Maybe I'll wear mine today in honor of recording this episode. But at least, Ethan, did you sold yours? Do you have another pair, or are you Indy
No.
bootless right now?
I'm Indy bootless right now. I only have my.
That would actually be a good
my,
name, Indy bootless.
Yeah,
I-
I'm Indy.
They call me
bootless.
Mr. Bootless.
That's right.
He's barefoot.
I only have Danner boots, and I have my Loke Chelsea boots, which are not Chelsea boots. The Chukka boots, which
Yeah.
are more of like the nice, like they are shaped. They're they're not like a desert boot. They're like a nice one.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm more Esquire man than I am Indiana Jones. So
Yeah,
That is the
I
difference
own
there.
the Indy boot, which I bought secondhand off of our friend Doug. And these, I think, well, these are the J. Crew Indy boots, which I think is like special for J. Crew. But the fun thing is, I think that's like pretty close to the Indiana Jones color. Because I know something on indiegear.com, it talks about how it's like they stopped making the color that they used in the Indiana Jones movie, which is just, I don't know, a dark brown. And I'm sure that you can get it from Alden. They have to make it. Like, maybe this is a little bit of out of date, but it talks about like methods that people use, like different dyes.
Yeah, to darken their thing,
or
yeah.
like like leather conditioners to like change the color.
yeah.
But the one I have is like a dark brown. I don't know. It's not covered in like dust and jungle dirt like Indy's boots are, but I feel like mine is a pretty similar color to the one that they have in the movie.
Yeah, no, yours look good, especially as much as you
I
like to
love
wear 'em,
them.
So
I love
them.
Yeah.
yeah, so yeah, indie boots are kind of. I think on the note about the color, I know that they were mad that Alden stopped using that dye. I remember that
Yes.
back in like the Fedora Lounge days.
Oh, and we should also say that the new one, not made by Alden.
Is not
They're
Alden.
That's
a
right.
Disney original.
Yeah, it just says they were handled internally by the production company. I wonder if it's because Alden would be like you can't spend $800. Well,
You
well,
could.
they're
It's
not.
Disney.
It's not like it's. They're not gonna have like 200 of them, but also like, yeah, it's Disney. They're not gonna spend
And
that
also,
money. 'Cause they
like, I
wanna-
don't know, isn't
they wanna save the
Alden,
money.
like, at this point, like, half a dozen old men making the shoes? Maybe they just couldn't pump them out fast enough.
That probably is. It's probably mainly true.
Yeah. I don't want
but
Alden to
but
get
doesn't
old.
hey, but doesn't
Mr. Alden.
J. Crew have their also knockoff Alden boots?
They
now?
do.
It's, like,
they've had
not an indie
those
boot?
for a while. They had them when I worked there. So you could, spend like whatever $800 to get the indie boots, or you could spend like $250 to get the J Crew ones that look a lot worse. Unfortunately, let me look
Yeah.
up J Crew boot and see if they still sell them. Well, no,
Yeah.
not the Alden ones. It's the Kenton Pacer boot.
Oh, that's right.
So let me see.
They look very close.
They do look pretty close. They do have like a pull tab, which I don't like as much. I saw them in person. I was like thinking about getting them before I just bought the ones off of Doug. But
Yeah.
I am not a huge fan of these.
I think the leather is not good.
Mm-hmm.
And the like brick sole is bad.
Yeah.
Not good. Sorry. Come on, Jake. Come on.
Come on, J Crew.
Back
I mean,
in
they're
Zion.
sold out, so maybe they're like, oh, we're done with this.
Yeah. Maybe people love
Yeah.
them. But yeah. Well, let's talk about the main thing now,
most
which is why we take
iconic
up the
aspect.
rest of the episode.
Yeah.
Yes, the Indiana Jones fedora, the Herbert and Johnson poet
Yes.
in Sable.
This is what
the iconic hat.
nerds around the country, they want it so bad. Like,
And you know what? That's me.
Yeah.
Oh, that was me too. Okay, like I want the Indiana
I feel
Jones
like
hat.
growing up, like I like I don't know, I knew this, like one of my friends like uncles was like really into like, he grew up in the 80s. He was really into 80s movies. And like he
Yeah.
was not a clothes guy at all, but of course he had the Indiana Jones fedora. I feel like there are a bunch of guys, Gen X, millennial. I don't know if Gen Z kids like are well, I'm sure there has to be some Indiana Jones like Gen Z fan account on Instagram, but like even if you're not into clothes at all, like there's a certain type of nerd that really really wants the Indiana Jones fedora.
Yeah, I mean, like, when we talked to, or when I talked to, like, Cody Wellamo before he got all cool and started, like, making stuff for real artists, and of course, Joyride. I mean, when you first get started making custom hats, like, that's a big part of business, like, where a guy's like, I want the Indiana Jones
Yep.
hat. It's like nerds, it's adult collectors, and, like, you gotta get it the right way, man. You can't. These guys are the most picky assholes of all
They
time.
are.
Because I mean, there's a video I'll link, but like there's this girl, I forgot what her name is, but she made a video about the hat and like kind of like the story about it and how people like just like the internet phenomenon of like super fans wanting to have this hat. In fact, so much so that a guy learned how to make hats because of it and ended up ascending into Indiana Jones canon,
Yes.
or at least the production entertainment canon, by being the hatter for the Last Crusade.
Yeah.
For the Crystal Skull.
There is, I think,
Which
an
is a big
interview
moment.
with him on one of the fan websites.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, with indiegear.com.
Mhm.
But Herbert Johnson was the one who did the other 4 films. And it is, I love that they have the specifications for all the hat. Like they write down the damn measurements of this thing. And the reason why I say that is because the thing about a hat, and maybe I'm getting too far ahead of this, but what makes a good hat is not just like the specifications, like it's about it's how it frames your face. And I think something that happens a lot that, of course, at Joyride or Cody will tell us is like, people will want the exact hat for Indiana Jones, but like of course their face shape is different, and so like if you get just the exact way that the Indy has it, it'll look different on you. It's just better to get a proportional hat or just a good hat that looks like what looks like it'll fit for you.
Okay, I mean we'll continue this discussion, but should we just say it now? Is the Indiana Jones hat good?
Which one are you talking about? Because guys, ladies and gentlemen, each hat is fucking different.
Each hat is different. They're
all 5 is different.
Big. They're huge. And as I said before, one of the funniest things I've ever seen on the internet is on the like Mandela effect subreddit. It might have even been like the crazier Mandela effect. We're not just like, oh, that's weird, I remember this being differently. It's like the people that think that they like traveled to a different dimension or something where things are different. But they're just straight up like, someone just posted a screenshot of Raiders of the Lost Ark, and it's like, guys, look at his hat. It's crazy. Has it always been like this? And then it was just a bunch of Redditors discovering it's like, whoa, why is his hat so big? Like,
it's because it is, yeah. And so specifically in the Raiders hat, it's the biggest it could ever really be. It to the point where like the brim is really wide. I guess according to Indie Gear, the brim is almost 3 inches.
Wow.
Which is it's about 2 3/4. Most of my fedoras are 2 inches, so like that's really wide. Sorry, the brim in the front, the front and the back, like it's all, I guess it's all different. I guess just based on how the shape is. The crown is 5.5 inches tall. The ribbon is 1.5 inches. But again, the thing that you notice right away is that it kind of like, not only is the brim wide, but the crown is really tall and it mushrooms. Like as in like the top of the ridges is like wider than like where the ribbon is. Like it just like, again, it looks like a chef's hat. It's kind of like reverse tapers out,
Yeah.
It gets wider as it goes up. Not only that, it has these crazy pinch to it where like the middle pinch is so thin, so it looks like a butt print on the front of it. At the very least in some of the main photos of him wearing it. I think obviously as the movie goes on, like there are different hats for like different scenes, because of like the way the angle of like for lighting and everything like that. He obviously wears it in different ways. I also heard like they like made the block twisted so like the he can wear it sideways, but like the front is going in a certain direction. They did a lot of crazy stuff to that hat, but it is the biggest hat. It looks like a cowboy hat kind of, but it's also a fedora. And people say that the back swoops up, but I don't think it does.
No.
Actually. I feel like it just swoops back behind him, which is more of a thing you see in like 20s fedoras, where like the upturned back is more of that kind of thing. And it kind of makes sense for like an early 30s fedora, or if you think about it, if it's from a hat from 1919
or 1912.
then, I guess it's
Garth.
1912, sorry. Yeah, Garth fedora.
Yeah.
That kind of makes sense there. But yeah, the Raiders hat is the biggest one, and according to that angry fan, it's the most iconic for a reason, because it's no other hat looks like this. I will say, I'll go on record, this is the worst hat.
Yeah.
This is the...
I did include some images, like comparisons from, like, there was an auction where one of the screen-used Raiders hats went on sale. And so this obviously has, like, 30, 40 years of wear on it, too. But you could see the shape a little bit. They have some pretty good, like, images of it, and it does not swoop up in the back.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
It's great. Like this also like looks like a fucking like bucket hat, like because I guess just how much they used it, and they made like 50 of them or whatever for these movies. But I will say, I hope in 50 years my hat is that aged and loved. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I mean even here and some of these scenes it's such an iconic, like it's so big on him, It is pretty crazy. In Temple of Doom, it has more of a taper, so it goes less tall, and they lose that really sharp pinch. But the brim is still wide. In Crusade, they kind of go back to what the shape is, like the kind of mushrooming chef hat shape of the hat, but the brim is less wide and it's less tall, at least from photos, for Last Crusade. And then for the adventure built one, which is what they made for Crystal Skull, it's more like the Crusade hat. And I think Crystal Skull and Dial of Destiny is probably the best ones because they look more like regular hats.
real
They,
hats.
it looks a lot more proportional to them. Although again, they are like, again, for Dial of Destiny, it is the original hat makers. But if you look at the lore of it, they actually lost the original hat block that they used on Raiders for some reason. I don't know how you lose a hat block. Like you burn down, you just throw it in the fire.
Yeah, they just threw it in
which
fire.
which is one of the reasons why the Temple of Doom hat is like slightly different, or I guess for the fans, noticeably different, and why the Crusade one is kind of like a mix between the two. But yeah, it's the swoop, the upward swoop does happen in Last Crusade. Temple of Doom also has a slight swoop, but it's not as much. And again, something that I've noticed recently is that, yeah, you can really tell if you really pay attention to the shape of it. The hat does change from scene to scene. Also, he has like a center bash. That's interesting too, as well. Like he doesn't have a C crown, which is what I have.
It's not. I don't know. Like it's we're not necessarily judging everything based on just the historical accuracy, but I feel like this does not look like. The hats he wears does not really look like 30s fedoras to me. Maybe like later 30s or 40s, because that's when they tended to be a little bit taller and wider, right?
30s is a taller but shorter brim, and then 40s it kind of mellows out.
Yeah. But this is tall and wide. It's got both.
Yeah, at least for Raiders, right? Yeah, that's why I think Crusade is like the best one. And I think people hate that one the most, which is why they were so happy went back to Herbert Johnson. But I'm like, not a Crusade. I'm sorry, Crystal Skull. But I'm like, that looks like a real fedora to me.
It
like
does.
That's,
it looks good
like
on him.
I think I mean, to be fair, it looks good on him at all times because that's just Indiana Jones. But if we're talking about like literally like what it looks like, Crusade's like okay. But yeah, my hot take is that Crystal Skull and Dial of Destiny looks really good for him. But yeah, I mean, let's talk about like the accuracy of this, or would a guy wear this? I don't think a real life archaeologist would wear this, at least based on real photos of archaeologists. And
well, he's also like a different type of archaeologist, you know.
That is true. That's true. He's not wearing a pith helmet.
Yes.
You know. Yeah.
I feel like this is you could say if someone was like in 1935. Needed to go to like a sporting goods store and put together an outfit for an adventure or a safari, like they might come away with something like this.
Yeah, this is like a Field and Stream FNS outfit from like 1938. This is like when you see actors hanging out, or like just like regular guys, which I tried to take some photos of. Yeah, you get guys wearing shirts, wool pants, leather jacket, and a fedora, which is just interesting. I mean, it's like you might even argue that maybe. That Indiana Jones, like, this is not like other than the belt and everything, like, this is not a utilitarian. This is just sportswear. Yeah. This is just and it's day off attire, but he just wears that when he's going out.
Because it kind of makes sense. Like, even though he's often in really hot environments, like the leather jacket offers some degree of protection from like, just like, I don't know, going through jungles. He's not going to get cut by a sharp branch or something, or if he gets stabbed, it's nice to have a leather jacket on, I guess.
Sure.
And all the like military influence. This is kind of like tactical gear of its day, and so I think it kind of makes sense in that way. Do we ever see him wearing the brown fedora with the suit? He does in
yes, he does.
In Crusade,
he does.
Right?
He does in Crusade. When he goes to see Donovan, he does in Dial of Destiny in the flashback where Baz is going crazy about the dial and he has to leave.
Oh, and of course he wears it at his wedding in the 50s.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. Which is funny because, again, earlier that week, I guess, because that's how long Crystal Skull takes place over, I guess. When he's getting on the train, he is wearing his gray fedora, which is also giant.
And just out of curiosity, I was just measuring my brown fedora. Which, as you said, is from the late 40s or early 50s. I've always considered this one to be pretty wide, have a pretty wide brim. It's only 2.5 inches.
But I guess it's one of those things where, like, because it's circular, like it goes around it's like 3D.
Yeah.
When you add anything to it, it just makes it that much bigger. You know what I mean?
Exactly. But yes, his hat is crazy wide. I feel like I don't know, like it's the outfit I think is pretty accurate. He, as we said before, Harrison Ford, sorry, wears his pants a little bit low, which is a common thing in like period.
A little bit?
Well, very low, which is a common thing in like period costuming. Like I've included other clips from like adventure movies.
Yeah.
And they are wearing their pants fucking high. Like I have clips or like images from The Most Dangerous Game, where he wears his pants very, very, very high. The Mummy, you see some archaeologists in the beginning. They're wearing like vaguely indie outfits, just with a pith helmet. Like, you know, they both got like safari shirts, with like, you know, you could see even one of them has like pleated wool trousers, like he's wearing. Jungle Jim, which I know was...
That's a crazy photo because that shirt looks insane on this guy. He looks like he's a fucking tank.
It does. It's so boxy. It's so wide. But this was, I according to like some Indiana Jones forum, there's some interview where Steven Spielberg and George Lucas cited Jungle Jim and Tim Tyler's Luck as like, this is like what we're going for. This is what we're trying to do. And so he's wearing a safari shirt, but it does look more like a 30s safari shirt with not the weird pleats. But he's wearing his
also
pants
back
very
then,
high.
Yeah, they're wearing pants very high. Yeah, a lot of period movies, not the period, but the period movies, actors will wear their pants low waisted because that's just where they're used to it. And costume designers, for some reason, don't notice that,
or maybe they're just not on set all the time, so they can't tell them, hey, stop it. Like. Yeah, but I don't know. I'm not sure. I feel like a costume designer, they're probably on set most of the time because I think you need at least someone to handle logistics of like where are we keeping everything, or it's like if something happens on the day where they need to do a quick repair. There's also images that I don't know if Spielberg or Lucas have ever cited this as an influence, but I included an image from Tokyo Joe, where Humphrey Bogart is wearing a pretty similar outfit. And of course, I think they have said Treasure the Sierra Madre is an influence.
But, yeah.
And you could see the fedora he's wearing. I mean, that one, I think Sierra Madre, I think, is set in like the 1910s or 20s. It's been a while since I've seen it, but I think that one's a period piece. But the fedora that Humphrey Bogart wears in that movie is it is like a dress fedora too. It's like really beat up, but you can tell it's like a dress fedora, but it is much more, quote, normal compared to the one that Indiana Jones is wearing.
Yeah. I mean, overall, Indiana Jones's outfits are like I mean, it is what it is. It's an 80s approximation of what 40s sportswear and military wear would look like.
But you can definitely see it's like, you know, Lucas and Spielberg, like having grown up watching these movies in theaters or seeing them on TV, they probably like would have had this image in their head of like, okay, yeah, this is what an adventuring guy wears. And there's enough images of like, you know, from the 30s and 40s of people wearing leather jackets with you know, with pleated trousers and boots and fedoras that it's like, yeah, they got it. But they did create such an iconic look. I think we talked about this, but it's like, you know, even though it's a pretty simple outfit, all things considered, consider this, it's still like very different than what other action stars of the 80s were wearing.
I mean, even today, I mean, what's the closest thing we got? We got Owen Grady with his his
Who
like
could forget Owen Grady?
And his utility vest. Yeah. You know, like,
and he's going like this,
holding his.
Stop it.
He's doing this. He has a little clicker thing for the Raptors.
Yeah.
No, yeah, I it's definitely an iconic thing. I mean, I wonder how much they knew it was going to be such an iconic thing.
I think they knew based on the opening of Raiders, where they're like setting this guy up. They're like, okay, we just invented the new like icon of cinema.
Yeah, like they were panning themselves on the back after they shot that sequence.
Yeah.
I wonder at what point of filming that was happening. Like, I wonder if that's like the last thing that they filmed or something. But I mean, what's interesting though is that, you know, Indy wears this throughout the entire, like, that's his like.
This is his adventuring outfit. He's like, if I'm going on an adventure, I'm gonna put this shit on.
Yeah, even if his suits change with the times, and they do. He wears like a belt back in the 30s. He wears like a fleck jacket in the 50s. He wears like a 60s sack suit. What doesn't change is his fedora, his leather jacket, his shirt, kind of. his pants and his fucking Indy boots.
Should we talk about his suits really quick? Do we have any final thoughts
Well,
about his adventure gear?
Well, before that, I was gonna say, what if this was in the 60s? What would the 60s version of this look
60s
like?
version of this? Maybe by this point, okay, if we're assuming that this is a younger character who it seems like is maybe getting his stuff from like sporting goods stores and also like, you know, supplementing with like military surplus. Maybe by the 60s he'd be wearing
Like a jungle jacket?
maybe a jungle jacket, or I was thinking in terms of the pants, either like kind of the OG 107s or maybe even like some cargo pants or something. I could see him wearing that. Maybe instead of having again, like the leather jacket, like I said, even though it's like maybe not the most comfortable in terms of like the weather, the places he's going, it offers some degree of protection from just the elements and also whatever dangers he might encounter. Maybe he'd be wearing like a lighter weight, like nylon windbreaker or something. Let me look up 1960s LL Bean catalog. Or what's a better
I don't know, actually, because, like, I mean...
Let me just look up adventure movies from the 60s.
Yeah, do those exist? I mean,
They do.
Sure, they have had to, right?
I think he'd still be wearing the tan shirt, but yeah, he'd still be wearing a tan shirt. He's
What I think...
He's wearing a Mad Magazine t-shirt that says "Up with mini skirts."
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
He would say that,
He would
actually.
say that. He'd say, "What, me worry?"
Yeah. But yeah, we can talk about the suits now.
Or just his alternate
so-
outfits, because I feel like we should talk about the suits, but also another aspect of the Indiana Jones character that I love, and you don't get to see enough, in my opinion. I think he loves doing disguises and characters. I think he actually has so much fun with that.
Yeah.
You see it the most in...
I've caught and got a sniffle.
Yeah, you see it the most in Last Crusade, where he does what, like, how many characters does he do? Because that's the one where he's, like, kind of, like, hiding out. He's not supposed to be there. He's not even supposed to be there. But you, of course, see him pretend to be a Scottish lord. And his outfit for that is pretty ingenious. He just swaps hats with the Nazi woman. Ilsa? What is her name?
Elsa Schneider.
Elsa Schneider. How did he not know she was a Nazi?
And he takes...
Her name's Elsa Schneider, and it's the 30s, and she looks like a pizza. Like she looks like, you know, like someone.
What a German
from
guy,
like Nazi
an Aryan's wet
propaganda.
dream. Well, she doesn't believe it. She only believes in the Grail, not the swastika.
That's true.
That's the whole thing. She's not a Nazi. Well, I guess she is a
She's
Nazi.
working
but
for
she
the
doesn't-
Nazis.
Yeah, there you go.
But
yeah, she's only following orders.
He just swaps hats with her. So he puts on
And
he puts on like a raincoat.
her trench
Yeah.
coat. Her raincoat, but he only buttons the top in order to look like an Inverness cape, which is interesting.
But he goes in
that
there
is really
doing a
fun.
really bad Scottish accent. And it's like,
We have many tapestries, but if you are a Scottish lord, then I am Mickey Mouse. How dare he? Also, before we get into that, one iconic thing about Indiana Jones, and maybe I'll bring this up at the end again, but like the sound design is really good.
Yes.
The
punch sound.
The punches just sound. It's like it's like a wallop, man. It's so. And the thing is, it's not just when Indy does it. Every character's punch sounds like that, which makes this like it's a fun series. It's like a comic come to life. Anyway, back to the outfits. Yeah, he also like disguises himself as like a Nazi stooge or like a Nazi at the U-boat facility when he gets on there. For some reason, staying on top of a U-boat for hours or at least a day. I'm
assuming that at some point he was able to get and sneak inside. Or does it?
That sounds insane. How would you not know that? That's crazy, actually.
Yeah, well, because I mean, does he? Does it like immediately go underwater? Like, do we see any moment where he could have? You know, because when the camera's not on,
I think the argument is that
he could have.
Maybe the argument there is like is that the U-boat did not submerge.
Yeah.
At the very least, he's just outside the whole time, just like sitting there, whatever.
Yeah.
And then he puts on an outfit. He beats up a Nazi guy, puts on the outfit, and it's too small for him, and then
he fights another
I don't know
guy.
if he kills him,
Yeah.
but he fights another guy and like hits him.
Uh-huh.
Also, he doesn't look German. That's the whole thing of like how many times does he do this and he doesn't. I mean, I'm not trying to like use like phrenology or whatever, but like he doesn't look like a German. Like he looks like an American.
He does look
And
like an
the reason I
American.
say that is because the characters who play like the German, like at least like the colonels or whatever, they look like they're German, even though they're played by British guys. So I guess maybe I'm just wrong here. Maybe everyone just looks. Anyone, if you're white, you could look German.
That's true.
I guess. Yeah, Alison Duty's Australian.
Yeah. And then of course later he disguises himself as like the, I guess, blimp ticket taker.
Yeah, what does he do?
He speaks English. Well, also punches a
he's
guy
like,
and like throws him off. But for the disguise, he just takes a white mess jacket.
The mess jacket.
And wears it with his shirt and tie.
Yeah. Also, that is the only scene we get to see him wear outerwear, which is the big like navy overcoat, like double-breasted overcoat, and his dad gets a Bal McCann.
Yeah.
And I guess he's wearing that over his leather jacket and tie or something, because when he takes it off, or after he does, he follows the ticket guy into like the bathroom or whatever, knocks that guy out, or kills him, I guess. And then comes back out with a mess jacket, and then when he's having a drink with his dad, he is wearing his leather jacket. So presumably, it was over that. Why is he wearing a tie in Crusade? That's an interesting thing.
Because he wanted to look good for the Nazis.
Yeah, because he wears it to Castle Brunwald.
Yeah, I guess that's part of his like Scottish lord disguise.
No. Oh, that's interesting because he's wearing it before that.
Oh, why is he?
He's
wearing
in the
that?
car. Yeah, I don't know. It's like they wanted to make him look a little Dapper Day guy.
I like him. I like him with the tie. Like I like the adventure outfit with
like
the
the
tie.
black wool tie.
Yeah, I feel like I'll try to find an image. I know that there's like a adventure movie from the 30s that I saw where the guy is wearing like a tie the whole time.
I love
Yeah.
it. It should be like that all the time. In terms of his regular suits, though, in Raiders, he wears a belt back.
Yes.
Brown three-piece.
It does look
three-piece
very
jacket
80s though. His suit, it looks
because
good
of
on
the
him,
lapels
but it
and
looks
button
very
point. Yeah.
80s in terms of the lapel shape, the button stance, everything. But it's got patch pockets.
Yeah.
That's nice.
Yeah, which is cool. Yeah, it makes me wonder if it's like they just, had like a made-to-measure thing. I mean, like, and they got like an 80s manufacturer, but they gave it like, I guess 70s details.
Yeah.
70s, those details were still pretty common there. He does wear I'm assuming it's like a 40s dressing gown, a paisley dressing gown. In one scene when he's packing, when he says, "I'm always a cautious guy," and he puts his pistol in his briefcase, or his
That's
suitcase.
a really
But
nice robe.
And it is 40s because the lapels, but also it looks like it has shoulder pads, and back then they did have those. But of course, like I said earlier, there is the navy blue double-breasted suit, which if it is 80s because the button sizes are a little bit different, but it does look very 40s. Like the button point is good.
He's got his pants
the
are wider
lapels
on
look
this one
good.
than they are on his like tweed professor suit too. It looks like.
Yes. And when you look at this too, like the gray fedora looks like it's straight up just the Raiders. Like it's like an unabashed, like it looks like the base poet model from Herbert and Johnson that they didn't like fuck
It
up.
probably is. I'm guessing it is.
Yeah, it's probably the
just in
same
gray.
thing. Yeah. Yeah, and it looks really good. I mean, the gray fedora is pretty awesome. It's one of the I have my gray fedora, and it's definitely in my head. Like that's what I want it to look like. But yeah, in Temple of Doom, he wears crazily enough. He thinks ahead enough to have packed his tweed blazer and a bow tie with him. Because again, in this, the canonically, right? This wasn't supposed to happen.
No.
Like he was supposed to just go get or trade Nurhachi for the diamond
The diamond.
with Lao Che.
Yeah. Give me the diamond, Lao
but yeah.
Che.
Yeah, nice try.
Yeah,
Lao
that's so good. I love that bit.
Close the door. Does that mean Dan Aykroyd's working for Lao Che?
Yeah, oh my God, is he, or is he just working for the airport?
Well, he's like a British guy wearing like a
We don't
military
know like
clothes,
anything
safari
about
clothes.
Dan Aykroyd's character except that
Yeah, does he have a name?
I don't know, maybe probably. Every
shit,
time I
look
watch
up
this
shit
movie,
up.
I'm like, I bet Dan Aykroyd had so much fun doing this. Like,
Yeah, because like what? Maybe in London or something, like where they have like that set or whatever, Pinewood Studios. But yeah, I say that because like in a scene in Temple of Doom, other than the beginning with the dinner jacket, definitely a shout out to James Bond with the white dinner jacket, black pants, and the red boutonniere. But at the dinner with the Maharaja, Kalim Singh,
Yeah.
and Chatter Lal, the Prime Minister, to His Highness, he is wearing his Indy outfit, but he's got all the buttons done up with a paisley or polka dot bow tie and like a tweed patch pocket jacket, which also again looks very 80s.
Yes.
But he wears that. Also, he wears that to when he gets his room not ransacked, but like the assassin in his room is there. He kills him by whipping his neck and then putting that into the ceiling fan, which is a brutal way to get killed. I guess. Well, you're fighting Indiana Jones.
Yeah.
You're gonna get killed in some brutal way.
He does kill
You get
people
run over by a
brutally.
truck. Yeah, you got the propeller.
Yep.
You got, I guess you get squeezed between two ships and your boat explodes. You know, that's the crazy one.
Yeah.
Go between them. Are you crazy? You said go between them. Yeah. So you've got all that. Last Crusade we kind of covered already. He wears a bow tie in that one with a fedora, and in the Crystal Skull. He does wear like an atomic fleck-esque jacket with patch pockets, with a spread collar shirt and a red polka dot bow tie when he's boarding the train before he gets
that is very
notified.
50s looking.
Yeah, that is very good. I mean, obviously, I feel like with Crystal Skull and Dial of Destiny, like the period costuming looks better. Like it looks like a period film. Obviously, because these guys are really rich now, the production is just the value has gone up. But in the previous three ones, the original three. It looks definitely like, oh, we're just using 80s clothes. You know, there's kind of this haphazard aspect to it. And we'll get into that in the second episode of part 2 of this whole thing. But yeah, he wears that. And then when he gets married, he wears like a very light flecked suit.
Yeah. Oh, can we talk about the
And,
most 80s suit that he wears, which I think is the Last Crusade when he like pulls up to Venice. That is so 80s,
God.
like the lapel shape.
Yeah,
like
it's so drooping. It's such a low buttoning point, and it's like he's wearing that with his brown fedora and like a plain shirt and tie or whatever. And you know, it doesn't look good on him. It even makes the hat look a little bit like out of place, honestly.
Yeah. Do we like his?
Like it looks like an 80s guy.
Do we like his professor gear? Do we think that makes sense with the rest of the clothes that he wears? Like, do you like that he's like he goes from he goes from I'm a badass adventurer to like I'm just a little guy with my little glasses and my 3-piece suits?
Is he a badass adventurer? Is he just wearing clothes? You know what I'm saying? Like
clothes.
that could be it. I think what's interesting too is like, you know, if Indy was, you know, again, going fishing or something in 1936, like a guy would also be wearing this. If he was like, you know, just hanging out in the suburbs on the weekend, a guy would probably be wearing a leather jacket and wool trousers and a fedora, you know? And so to him, this might be it. But we don't see anybody. We see mainly with students who are in love with him.
Mostly ladies. That is a good bit where it's like, I don't know, I feel like that's when they were...
I love you.
I feel like that was kind of a joke, like, where it's like, hey, Harrison Ford's like really good looking. I bet if he was a professor, there would be a lot of women in his class.
Yeah, I gotta sign up. You know?
And then of course, one of them does the "I love you" thing on her eyes, which is nuts.
Yeah, not good.
Do you think he's a good professor? Because doesn't he like misspell like Paleolithic?
No,
or
he
something?
he second guesses himself while doing it. No, I think he's
and
he's good.
his class is just like there's a tomb.
Yeah, there's an antechamber over here.
Yeah.
No, but I mean, when he's in the library in the scene when he's being chased by the KGB guys, he clearly enough to help out that kid where he says, "No, read this guy on diffusionism. If you want to be a good archaeologist, you got to get out of the library."
That's true. Oh, and you know what? I think the scene where he teaches the FBI agents or whatever agency they're from about the Ark of the Covenant, that's a really good scene. Like for like
I feel like we don't get scenes like that or actors who look like that in movies anymore.
No, but like I don't know. I love that, like, just in terms of like a filmmaking and a script efficiency part too. Like it really sets everything up. The music like builds it up. Like you really feel the power. I like how excited he gets. Like he's kind of like excited to talk about this.
And what's funny is that, obviously in that scene, this is like, you can say what you will about modern movies. I feel like we have a lot of close-ups and we cut from like when people are talking, we just see like close-ups. But here it's like a wide shot the whole time, and you can see like Marcus is like smiling because like he knows that Indy like loves this shit, and and it's just so good. You also see like the reactions of like the skeptical U.S. guys who are
Did
there.
you ever go to Sunday school?
It's just. And then they both go, oh, I don't know, like that's so good. I love that. That's such a great.
I just watched this movie. I might have to watch it again. It's so good.
I know. Raiders is awesome.
Raiders is
man.
amazing.
Yeah. But yeah, I think what's cool is that it shows Indy's got like decorum, as in like he knows like certain places have certain outfits that you wear to these things, and he's really good at compartmentalizing both himself and his like duties, which I think is a really cool thing to show with clothing. I think that's a way. I mean, that's what film costuming is, right? It is about, communicating things about a character that you can just get by looking at them, whether that is through costuming changes from scene to scene or through like the small things, small choices that they make, and we'll get into that in the second episode where we talk about how, I mean, the implications that Indy's attire contrasts with all these other characters.
Of Indiana Jones.
That's right. But before we close, I do want to say let me talk about the score to Indiana Jones, or specifically the theme for Indiana Jones. And all of you guys know that there is an A and B theme to Indiana Jones. There is that famous clip of Steven Spielberg, whistling each one, and John Williams like, "Hey, I got two for you. I got this like da 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 da. Then I also got this like this more like." Reflectful one, like dun da da dun da 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 da, and Spielberg just says, "Give me both, baby. I want them both." And again, those became the A and B theme respectively. And what's interesting is that I saw a analysis and an essay about Indiana Jones, the score to Indiana Jones, and what's interesting about it is that unlike, let's say, Star Wars or Superman, Indiana Jones's theme, it has this kind of sense of hesitancy with it. It goes like dun da 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 dun da da, like it goes up, then kind of goes back down, and then it leaps higher. Then it kind of goes dun 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 dun, and it keeps going higher and higher. So, and someone kind of relegated it to like Indy, like the Indy ploy, where like you don't really know if things are gonna work out, but it's gotta work out anyway, and you just do it. And and the same thing that is reflected in the B theme, that's dun da 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 dun da dun dun da da da, right? And then at the end of that, it goes dun da dun da da dun dun da dun dun da da, and it feels like you have a little celebratory fanfare when these things like just kind of when the plan just comes together. And I don't know if John Williams was thinking that necessarily. I think these are just really great ways to like have variance to a theme and kind of develop it, but it really makes sense. It really works in the context of Indiana Jones, where he is heroic, but it's not like he's perfect. He messes up a lot.
No, he fucks up, and that's another thing I like about him. He like makes mistakes.
Yeah, like in the Crystal Skull, where he whips the lamp in the warehouse. He tries to get onto the car with Spalco, but he misjudges the distance and slams back into a truck. And he says, "Damn, I thought that was closer." Like that's so good.
My favorite bit in any of the movies is the "Nice try, Lao She," where it's like he does all this cool shit to escape from Lao She, and then he gets on a plane and he's so smug.
That's owned by Lao She.
And then he slams the door and it's Lao She Air Freight. Like it's so good.
It's just, it's so good. I mean, you get that with Han Solo a little bit, when he's chasing after a stormtrooper, then he finds himself in a hangar full of stormtroopers. In the original Star Wars, it's just a dead end, and all the stormtroopers just turn around and wait for him. But in the special edition, they make it so it's an entire hangar full of stormtroopers who are just standing there for some reason. Like, why are they just like there's like Darth Vader's in his, like, there's no one arriving here, right? Like, what's the point of this like troop assembly?
Yeah.
But anyway, the music that like the theme to Indiana Jones is just, it's so good. I think you can also tell John Williams like loves this the most. Like he came back for this. This is purported to be his last film score ever, because it was the last one with Steven Spielberg was The Fabelmans, and this is the first one he's done with James Mangold, also like his last real film score. But there's so much care in Indiana Jones. It is so rousing. It is, again, a shout out to the serials of the 30s, but to me, it's very inherent in what Williams' style is, and it's classic. But it's also like got this like kind of contemporary sensibility to it. And throughout the movies, it does have a lot of variations from it. There's a lot of tender moments that they use the B theme for it. There's a lot of silly moments where like they use the intervals like dun 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 dun, but like they change it up so it sounds like he's like, oh shit, or like it happens during again with the water scene in Temple of Doom, right before the scene with the swordsman, and he doesn't have his gun on him. And it's just such an amazing piece of music that I'm glad you get to have five movies to kind of develop this whole thing. I feel like by Dial Destiny, though, they do replay a lot of the old stuff. I don't know if that's because John Williams is old, but also for like nostalgia's sake, we're like, oh, let's use that scene's music right here because that's such an iconic thing. Which, again, for me, I'd rather them make new music, which is what they did in Crystal Skull. But yeah, I think that's also one reason why I love Indiana Jones maybe more than Star Wars. Star Wars has a lot of other themes, which is why I like it, but in terms of a main theme, Indiana Jones,
because you're following less characters in Indiana Jones than you are in Star Wars.
Yes, yeah.
I also just gotta I love the love theme from Indiana Jones. I think it's
Marion's theme.
Marion's theme I think is like so, I don't know, that makes me that like to me is like a very classic sounding thing. Like I could imagine that being like the theme to Casablanca or something,
Yes.
But it's so, I don't know, it's so romantic, it's so sweet, it's so wonderful. I love that that theme.
No, absolutely. I mean, what's funny is that Willie Scott gets a theme or a love theme in that movie. And it's nice as well. It doesn't get fleshed out as much as Mary's theme, obviously, but
we gotta maybe in the next episode we gotta talk about how Temple of Doom is like the most like divorce movie of all time, like because George Lucas was going through his messy divorce while he was making it, right?
Yes.
And
also I think Spielberg was having problems also.
Yeah, but that's what he married. What's the actress's name? What? Yeah, Kate Catshaw or whatever. But yes. You can definitely tell while you're watching it. And then, of course, Last Crusade is like, I'm working out these issues with my father. When we talked about the Fabelmans, I feel like the amazing thing about the Fabelmans is now every time I watch any Spielberg movie, I'm like, oh, like this has unlocked something. Like this secret.
Oh, yeah. I mean, Jaws, he's got to struggle with being a good dad, but getting in the water, Close Encounters of the Third Kind.
Hey, even
Jurassic Park hates kids.
Like Kate Blanchett in Crystal Skull has his mom's haircut. Like,
oh boy, I didn't know that actually. That's crazy.
Yeah.
I forgot about that. Oh my god. But yeah, that's we'll talk more about that in the second episode of our Indiana Jones coverage. In that episode, we'll talk more about the side characters because there's a lot of good costuming in this film series. A lot of good examples of period costuming and other character ideas that come with it. And we'll talk about all of that. Sulla, Brody, Voller, Nazi guys, Chatterlall, all of that shit in the next episode. So keep an eye out for that release when that comes out. But for now, you can wait. If you want something to do, you can go to patreon.com/downdirection. $5 a month gives you access to our Discord where we talk all about this stuff. We talk about movies. We talked about Beetlejuice, I guess, kind of.
Don't say it 2 more times.
Of course, other, I won't, believe me. But we also talk about other menswear stuff. We talk about articles that come out about fashion. It's a really great place full of really great enthusiasts and really great people. It also gives you access to our backlog of movie episodes or bonus episodes where we talk about, movies and other random stuff. So, $5 a month. Do that. 10 nothing changes, but we do thank you. So MJ, who are we thanking? Who is a SaDcast fanatic?
Our fanatic? Our SaDcast fanatics are Shane Curry, Philip Gregard, Henrik Wilberg, Mason Ritchie, and Alexander Batten.
Thanks, guys.
We appreciate you guys so much. Remember to close your eyes when looking at that idol. You can follow the Instagram for the podcast at Style and Direction if this is your first time, I guess.
There's treasure.
We never operate. Yeah, we never operate that someone could be listening to the podcast for the first time because of this, and I feel like that might be why we don't get new listeners very often. We lock them out.
But now maybe someone's going to search Indiana Jones podcast and find this. Who knows?
This was actually our way of breaking into the millennial nerd
the Funko Pop
market
crew
here. The Funko Pop crew, that's right. Yeah. You can follow our Instagram at Sound Direction for some inspiration. We find, I'm going to address it right now, we find really niche stuff because apparently no one's ever seen that picture of JFK juggling before. But I've had that saved. Yeah. So I follow me at Ethan M. Wong.
I'm at Spencer DSO.
I'm at Aya MJ.
We'll see you guys in the next one.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bang bong.
No outro because it's mainline.